I don't want a poor wife raised by a single mother. Call off the wedding. Please stop making baseless accusations. My mother-in-law, Risa, ignores my pleas and spreads rumors among the guests that I'm a poor wife. My once-in-a-lifetime moment is ruined because of Risa. I'll never forgive her. I'll make her regret ruining my wedding for the rest of her life. My name is Rafi. I'm a 29-year-old office worker. Busy with work every day, I'm known as a workaholic. And I have a fiancé. Chester, can you handle this luggage? Sure, just give me a minute. Chester, whom I got engaged to after an office romance, is a cheerful guy admired by everyone, especially the women in our department. Our romance started during a particular project. It was my first time leading a team, and Chester was there to guide me with kindness. Rafi, you're incredibly diligent. I admire that. Every time Chester praised me, I found myself more attracted to him. It turned out Chester had special feelings for me too, and we started dating. As we dated, I grew to want to be someone who could support Chester forever. Then, he proposed to me. I vividly remember joyfully accepting the ring. Since then, we've been preparing for our wedding. During a family meeting, I was warmly welcomed. Take good care of Chester. I'm glad you're marrying such a wonderful person. It seemed my in-laws were supportive, which relieved me. We planned a meet-up with both families, adjusting to my busy mother Tiana's schedule, and gathered at a restaurant. So, about Rafi's dad. Oh, we're a single mother family. My dad passed away when I was young. Single mother? I sensed Risa's discomfort hearing that. Is there a problem? Confused, I tilted my head, but Risa just smiled. It's fine. Single parenthood often comes with negative connotations. My mom is kind and raised me alone. Despite the difficulties without a dad, I never felt a lack of love. She's someone I deeply respect. I passionately spoke about how wonderful Tiana is. Regaining my composure, I look around to see Tiana smiling kindly at me, patting my head and saying, Thank you, Rafi. Her smile always reassures me. After all, Tiana has always been my sunshine. However, the atmosphere didn't feel right. I worried whether our wedding plans would go smoothly, but fortunately, the preparations for the ceremony were completed successfully. In a grand hall with a beautiful dress, I wait for the ceremony to begin, staring at the dress I'm about to wear. Then, I notice a commotion in the hallway. Rushing out to see what's happening, I find Risa causing a scene, yelling loudly. That wife is just after the money. She and her family are so greedy it's despicable. Give Chester back to us. Come out here and let me slap that face. The guests are taken aback by her desperate look and keep their distance from Risa. The staff, seeing me, wait for instructions on what to do. I gesture for them to stay back and approach Risa. Risa, what's wrong? Apparently drunk, Risa stares at me with unfocused eyes. Are you drunk? If you're feeling sick, you should rest. As I reach out to help her, she throws the contents of her glass at me. I don't want a poor wife raised by a single mother. Poor Chester, call off the wedding. Her words are cruel, insulting single mothers and calling me a poor wife. And we were just about to start the ceremony after completing all the preparations. Excuse me? But my mom is from a wealthy family. Angered by the insult to Tiana, I start to reveal what I had been hiding. Then a sharp pain hits my cheek. Don't lie! Risa had slapped me. Overwhelmed by the pain, I crouch down and Risa looks down at me, hurling more insults. I had thought she was kind and gentle during our family meeting. I had hoped she would accept me despite being from a single mother family. I even thought she could be like a second mom to me. But the most important person to me is Tiana, who gave birth to and raised me. Raised by a single mother, she brought me up all by herself. I cannot tolerate anyone insulting Tiana. I had prepared so much for this special day, arranging the venue, choosing the dress, ordering the food. Even the alcohol she threw on me was quite expensive. Unforgivable. She ruined my once-in-a-lifetime moment and insulted my most precious person. I will never forgive her. I'll get my revenge. Rafi, what's going on? What's all this noise? As I tremble with anger at Risa, a familiar voice speaks to me. Looking up, I see an elderly man. He's the president of a famous restaurant chain. I heard his restaurants became famous overnight, and now he appears on TV more than he works. Then, a young man appears behind him. Your cheek is swollen. We need to ice it right away. He's a young but renowned doctor, recently known for developing a new treatment for a rare disease. Seeing my red, swollen cheek, he immediately gets ice from the staff and applies it. Seeing these two prominent figures, everyone realizes the truth about Tiana being wealthy. Rafi, are you okay? Can you stand? As if nothing had happened, Risa offers her hand. I forcefully shake it off. I thought I was just a poor person raised by a single mother. Wouldn't touching me dirty your hands, Risa? My cold response makes Risa look regretful. She tries to pretend nothing happened, but it's too late. Risa, I'm sorry, but could you please leave for today? What are you saying? It's my dear son's wedding. I can't just not attend. But I don't think you can keep a level head watching a wedding with a poor wife raised by a single mother. As I raise my voice to make sure everyone in the hall hears, someone starts to chuckle. Soon, laughter at Risa spreads through the room. Risa, her face turning red from embarrassment and being laughed at by many pleads. I'm sorry, I didn't really think that. Please forgive me. In her beautiful dress, she kneels and clings to me. It was almost comical, and I had to suppress a laugh, but Risa still had to learn her lesson. Then, another voice came from behind. What a terrible commotion! What's happening? Mom. Tiana had appeared behind me without my noticing. She smiled as she turned to me and said, Well done. Then Tiana stepped forward. Why do you think single mothers are poor? Tiana asked Risa with a smile. But it was a smile that seemed to bear a weight of authority. If I were in Risa's place, I would have been breathless with fear. I didn't mean... But you were shouting earlier that we are poor because we're a single mother family. That was just the alcohol talking. Oh, so that was your true feeling then. Tiana's sharp words. They seemed too much for someone like Risa, who appeared to be shaking and on the verge of collapsing. Disdainfully looking down upon the now speechless Risa, Tiana declared firmly, Everyone is entitled to their opinions about single mothers, but that doesn't give you the right to hurt people. You have no right to throw alcohol at and hit my daughter. Please leave. I was the one who instructed my daughter to have such a lavish ceremony, but this place is not suitable for you. People who can't empathize with others don't belong here. After saying her piece, Tiana exhaled a sigh of relief. That feels better. Everyone in the room, agreeing with Tiana, erupted into applause. Remarkable! Wealthy people indeed speak differently. I'm glad to follow her. Let's have her give a lecture at our company. We need someone like her to toughen up the young ones. Voices echoed throughout the hall. Tiana was about to get busy again. I asked the hotel staff to escort Risa out. Standing next to Tiana, who had just finished her part, I said, Mom, you're always so cool. The best mom in the world to me. Even though I was raised by a single mother without a dad, I felt like the luckiest person in the world to have been born to someone as wonderful as Tiana. Because of the commotion, the wedding was ultimately called off. Chester apologized profusely, but honestly, becoming family with Risa was impossible. After a heartfelt apology, I called off the engagement with Chester. Chester, knowing what Risa did, couldn't object much and apologized deeply before we parted ways. But Risa wouldn't let go. Rafi, I'm sorry about that day. Please, marry Chester. She visited repeatedly, and when I moved, she somehow got my mobile number. Risa's desperate pleas like, I'm sorry about that day, and I've realized your charm, sounded blatantly fake, almost laughable. I promptly blocked her number. Even though the ceremony was canceled, the expenses weren't just going to disappear. But obviously, it was their fault it got canceled, so they would bear the costs. Originally, the plan was to have Tiana help with the expenses, so the wedding was supposed to be quite lavish. Of course, that meant the cost skyrocketed. It was an amount not easily afforded by an average family, but it couldn't be helped. They were the ones who ruined the ceremony. On top of that, I also demanded compensation. After all, I was insulted, had alcohol thrown on me, and was slapped. I didn't have a voice recorder, but everyone present was a witness. There was no way they could escape responsibility. The compensation added to the wedding costs was significant. I did feel a bit sorry seeing the amount, but it was justified given the insult to Tiana. The payment would be tough, but they would have to manage with their audacity. Rumors say that Risa was told to divorce. The way she treated me, Chester's fiancé, ruining a high-cost wedding, and above all, the unbelievable amount of expenses and compensation they were billed for. Initially, Risa's father-in-law tried to help, but he gave up when realizing the burden was too great to bear. Chester also disowned Risa over the broken engagement. Risa likely won't be able to return to her in-laws' house ever again. I heard she quickly fell on hard times, having never worked much before. Now she's employed at a factory with live-in accommodations, working there during the day and at construction sites at night. It's tough for someone her age. If Risa is to repay the debt alone, she won't be leaving any inheritance but working for a lifetime. Meanwhile, after the incident, Tiana organized a party for me. She seemed to feel guilty for playing a part in ruining the ceremony. Mom, you did nothing wrong, and you shouldn't worry about it. I reassured her time and again, but I won't feel better otherwise. And so, we decided to have a party with Tiana's acquaintances. Honestly, I couldn't care less about romance at that point. Having Tiana was enough for me. But at the party Tiana arranged, Sean, the man who had provided ice for my swollen cheek that day, was there. I was really surprised at the time, he said, sipping his coffee slowly. I knew Tiana was a formidable woman, but I never knew Rothy had such strength. It made me think I should learn from you. I felt a bit embarrassed by Sean's straightforward words. Do I really resemble my mom that much? Tiana has always been my sunshine. Her protective embrace was stronger than any armor. It was the first time someone said I resembled Tiana. Looking up, Sean smiled gently. Yes, you're very much alike. Seeing you, I feel reassured. It's okay to let go and be protected. At least that's how I felt that day. Just like Tiana. The idea that I could reassure people like Tiana did for me. That I could be someone's armor, like Tiana. I want to be someone who can protect the important people in my life. That includes Tiana and the man in front of me, Sean. I'll work hard to become a reassuring presence, a sunshine for those dear to me.
Mama, help me. What? What happened? Weren't you on a field trip? I don't want to go. I was stunned when my daughter, who had left the house smiling, ready for her field trip, came back home in tears. I couldn't understand why she was home. For a moment, I was completely at a loss. Seeing her in such a state, I spoke to her gently. At the same time, a new question arose in my mind. How did you get back home? She was supposed to go to the amusement park by bus with her school. It didn't make sense for her to be back home 2 hours after she left. Choking back tears, she slowly replied. I came back in a car. They told me to get off right in front of the house. A car! I couldn't hide my surprise and raised my voice. Was it someone you know? It was Dad. What? I immediately called my husband, unable to stay calm. Hello? What's going on? What do you mean? Susie's back home. I don't know anything about that. The call was abruptly ended. Filled with anger, I clenched my fists. Can you tell me what happened? Yeah, look inside my backpack. Inside her backpack, I found a mess. The lunch I packed with her favorite foods was scattered everywhere, the lid open. The juice in her water bottle was gone too. Did Dad do this? Yes. I left Susie with a friend and headed to my husband's office. I couldn't forgive him for ruining the field trip she had been looking forward to. Bursting into his office, I was ready to fight for my daughter. I'm Mindy, a stay-at-home mom in my 30s. I live with my husband, Tom, who's 3 years younger than me, and our 6-year-old daughter, Susie. But Susie isn't a child born to both of us. She's my daughter from a previous relationship. Maybe you should think about remarrying? Yeah. Still can't forget him? I lost my first husband in a car accident for years before marrying Tom. My mom, worried about me, suggested I remarry, but I just couldn't think about it positively back then. At that time, I was working as an office temp, doing my best to provide for my daughter. That's when I met Tom. Aren't you working too much lately? Always staying late at the office. It's nothing new. I'm fine. I'm worried about you. Let me help so you can finish up early. Tom had just joined the company and was always kind to me. Honestly, I was trying not to get involved with men much at that time. But I couldn't push Tom away, probably because he reminded me of my late husband. You don't have to pay so much attention to me, you know? Eh? Why's that? Why's that? Because I like you, Mindy. Huh? His sudden confession caught me off guard. But I'm divorced, you know. That's okay with me. And I have a child. There was a brief pause, and I thought I saw Tom's eyebrows twitch. It's okay. His words shook me. I was happy, but responding right away seemed too irresponsible. I can't answer right away. I understand. I'll wait for as long as it takes. When I got home, I was really torn about what to do. Later, I made a proposal. It was to meet my daughter. If Susie accepted him, I'd consider his confession. Hi. I'm Tom. I'm Susie. Nice to meet you. The following weekend, the three of us went out together. To my surprise, Tom and Susie's bond deepened more than I had expected, resembling that of a real father and daughter. Seeing this, I felt reassured and decided to give my answer. About what you asked before, if I'm okay, then yes, I'd like that. Really? That's great. And so, we started dating. 6 months later, we got married. I was excited about our new life together, but marriage doesn't always go as planned. Our new life began in a home we rented. Susie seemed happy, which put me at ease. However, that was only in the beginning. Now that we're married, I want you to be a stay-at-home mom, Tom said. What? Why all of a sudden? I think it's better for Susie. But Susie's starting elementary school this year. Tom's expression turned irritated. Besides, working together in the same company is inconvenient, considering what others might think. Maybe, but let's go with that, okay? His earlier annoyed look disappeared, replaced by a smile. Not wanting to argue just after getting married, I reluctantly agreed to his proposal. And from there, our relationship gradually worsened. Okay, I'm off to the hair salon. Please take care of Susie. Sure. Got it. See you later. Have a good time. And I left. This was the first time since getting married that Tom and Susie would spend time alone together. I was anxious but thought it would be fine since they seemed to have a good relationship. But when I returned home after about 2 hours, the house was eerily quiet. I'm back. No response from either of them. Feeling something was off, I headed straight to the living room. There, I found Susie lying on the sofa. Susie! Huh? Mom? Oh, good. I was relieved and collapsed onto the floor. Susie had just been sleeping. Where's Dad? I couldn't feel Tom's presence in the house. He said he was going out and left me alone. What? I tried calling Tom, but he didn't answer. About an hour later, he returned. I'm back. I rushed to the entrance. Where were you? Oh, just went for a walk. What? Leaving Susie alone? Don't be so mad. Susie was asleep, and I just needed a break. But I couldn't overlook a certain change in Tom. That's quite a nice smell for just a walk, isn't it? I noticed a sweet floral scent, like body soap, coming from Tom. Eh? Must be your imagination. Saying this, Tom quickly headed to our bedroom. And when he came out, he had changed his clothes. Probably to get rid of the scent. It was troubling to think the worst so early in our marriage. Why did you change? I got sweaty. Anyway, I'm hungry. Since then, I started to harbor doubts about Tom. He began avoiding us, and it pained me to see Susie looking lonely. It seemed Susie felt the same, sometimes showing concern for me despite her young age. Mom, are you okay? What's wrong? I'm fine. That's good. Were you worried about me? Thank you. I hugged my daughter gently. In this difficult life, her smile was my only happiness. It was my solace. Then came a night when I felt the most anger I ever had. I woke up suddenly and noticed Tom wasn't beside me. Thirsty, I was about to head to the kitchen. That's when I heard Tom's voice. He seemed to be talking on the phone. Yeah, that's right. I'm tired, you know. I shouldn't have married someone with a kid. I only did because she was pretty for her age. I was shocked by what I heard. I stood frozen in place. Tom had always been distant with Susie, but I never thought it was this bad. His complaints continued. Yeah, that's true. What should I do now? Eh? No, that's going too far. I didn't know what they were talking about, but it couldn't be good. And lately, she's not as close to me. Really gets on my nerves. Maybe I need to show her who's boss. I was surprised at his awful feelings towards Susie, but my anger towards him grew even more. I thought about confronting him but held back. Instead, I decided to record this conversation on my phone. When I got back to the living room door, he was still laughing and mocking us. I won't forgive this. So, I recorded the conversation as evidence. Well, I'm going to bed now. See you. I quickly got into bed. I spent the night awake, unable to sleep. And it wasn't just Tom that was the problem. His mother was a big issue too. Mindy, aren't you thinking about moving in together soon? I'm sorry, but we don't have any plans for that right now. Has your husband agreed to this? I'll talk to him later. Sigh. I allowed my son to marry a divorced woman with a child. It seems Tom isn't keen on it either. That's because you've been saying things to him. No way! His mother thought I had stolen her precious son. Even Tom seemed a bit fed up with his overprotective mother. Originally, she had suggested we move in together as a condition for allowing our marriage. But it was my father-in-law who stopped it. That happened when we went to his parents' house to announce our marriage. You don't have to insist on living with us. That's not the point. Please be quiet for a bit. What matters are the feelings of these two. What do you think, Tom? I might consider it eventually, but for now, I want to live with just the three of us as a family. Then it's settled. Tom says so, it should be fine. If Tom says so. Thus, we got married and started our life as a family of three, but now, the hopeful person I was back then is gone. And I never could have imagined what would happen next. Here, this. What is it? Susie handed me a field trip notice when she returned from school. A field trip, huh? That's nice. Yeah. I'm excited. She looked genuinely happy. And seeing her like that made me happy too. Then Tom came home. What are you two happily chatting about? Susie's got a field trip coming up. Oh? Where to? An amusement park in the next state over. Ah, that big place. It felt like a pleasant family conversation, which had been rare lately. Susie seemed satisfied, talking and smiling with Tom. But at that time, Tom was thinking of something terrible to do using Susie's field trip. I'll be home late tonight, so don't wait until dinner. Okay. Tom, who started coming home late more often, seemed unusually happy when he did return. Something good happened? Eh? No, nothing special. But again, there was the scent of body soap coming from him. I wanted to let Susie have her field trip without any issues, so I chose to tolerate it this time. Then, on the evening before Susie's field trip. I'm home. Ah, what a day. You're late again today. What? You got a problem with that? No, not at all. Oh, by the way, I'll be going into work in the afternoon tomorrow. Okay. Got it. At that moment, I didn't think much of his words. Looking back, it was strange, but maybe my interest in Tom had faded. And then the next day. Huh? Tom, you're leaving already? I thought you were working in the afternoon today. Yeah, I was, but I have some things to do. So I'll be heading out early. With that, Tom hurriedly left for work. He seemed a bit flustered, but my attention quickly turned to Susie. Got everything? Yeah. Then have a good trip. Bye, I'm off. Susie left with a beaming smile. She had been looking forward to the field trip ever since the day it was announced. Recently, she seemed a bit down due to my husband's behavior, but I thought this trip would cheer her up. But I was about to realize my mistake. It was about 2 hours after Susie had left. I guess she's probably at the amusement park having fun by now. As I thought this, I heard the sound of the door opening. When I went to the entrance, there was Susie, saying, "Mom, help me." What? What happened? What about the field trip? I don't want to go. I realized this was no small matter. The smile I saw in the morning was gone, replaced by large tears. I couldn't understand why she was home, and for a moment, I was completely lost for thoughts. Overwhelmed by her state, I gently spoke to her. Let's go inside for now. Okay. I sat her down on the sofa and observed her, but she didn't seem to be injured. At the same time, a new question popped into my mind. How did you get back home? She was supposed to go to the amusement park by bus with her school. It's impossible for her to walk back home from there. Sobbing, Susie slowly answered. I came back by car. I was dropped off right in front of the house. A car! I raised my voice in surprise. Was it someone you know? It was Dad. What? I couldn't sit still and called my husband. Hello? What's going on? What do you mean? Susie's back home. I don't know anything about that. The call was cut off abruptly. I was filled with anger, clenching my fists. Can you tell me what happened? Yeah, look inside my backpack. As Susie suggested, I looked inside her backpack and found a mess. Her favorite lunch I packed was scattered everywhere, the lid open. Not only that, but the juice that should have been in her water bottle was also gone. Did Dad do this? Yes. Understood. I left Susie with a friend and headed to my husband's workplace. On the way, I got a call from the school. Is this Susie's mom? Actually. Yes, I am. Is this about Susie? The teacher who called sounded panicked. In my anger towards my husband, I had forgotten that Susie's absence would naturally be a concern. Do you know anything? She just came back home a while ago. Back home, so that means? The teacher sounded like she knew something about the situation. Do you have any idea what might have happened? I heard from other students that a man took her away. I see. Anyway, my daughter is safe now. I'm really sorry for the trouble. I'm glad Susie is safe. There's one more thing I'd like to ask. After a bit more conversation, I hung up the phone. It was probably my husband, Tom, who the teacher mentioned. And it seems like he did something outrageous. Maybe he acted on what he talked about over the phone before. Disrupting the field trip Susie was so looking forward to. I couldn't forgive him for that. All right, let's go. When I arrived in front of Tom's workplace, I took a deep breath. It had been a while since I'd been here. I knew where Tom's office was. Mindy? Oh. There was a colleague from my temp days. One of the few friends I had back then. What brings you here today? Just something. You're here for your husband? Sort of. Still a happy couple, huh? I'll leave you to it then. My former colleague didn't know the situation, and it hurt a little. But I couldn't back down now that I had come this far. I burst into Tom's office. Everyone inside looked at me. Including Tom. Why are you here? Tom approached me as he noticed me. What are you doing here? I came to see you. This is a workplace. Please leave. The office was abuzz with our unusual situation. I thought it might not be bad to let everyone know Tom's true nature here. I came to talk about Susie. That's something we can discuss at home. No. It has to be here. What? What nonsense are you talking about? Everyone here will find out what you did to Susie. Then someone from the back of the office approached. It was my former manager. It's been a while. Hello, it's been a long time. Manager, please say something to her. The manager thought for a moment, then spoke slowly. No. I'll take responsibility here. You have an urgent matter, right? Yes. I replied confidently. So, why did you do that? Do what? Making a mess of Susie's backpack, then bringing her home. People saw it. He grimaced for a moment, then became defiant. Susie wasn't feeling well, so I brought her back. That's all. Then why were you at the amusement park? It's her first field trip to an amusement park in elementary school, right? I was just a little worried. That's a lie, isn't it? Why would it be? I just got a call from her teacher. You weren't alone, were you? Everyone in the office seemed even more agitated. There's no proof, right? Tom seemed determined to deny everything. That's when I decided to play the recording I had made previously in front of everyone. Hey! What are you doing? I wanted to see if you could still be so composed after hearing this. I played the recording. It was as horrifying as ever. Words like terrible and worst could be heard from the crowd around us. Tom had no escape now. Is this true? No, this is. I mean, yes. I was discussing a friend's problem. It's not like I planned to do anything to Susie. I couldn't help but smirk. But the word Susie isn't mentioned in this conversation, is it? Tom realized he had trapped himself. Unable to withstand the cold stares from those around, he suddenly began to apologize, changing his tune. I was just following orders. It's not my fault, it's my mother's. Orders? Yes. It's my mother's fault, not mine. I was shocked to learn that his mother had been involved in this, but it didn't excuse what Tom had done. As I was thinking about what to do next, my former manager made a suggestion. Just leave work early for today. Eh? This isn't a situation to work in, right? Don't come in until everything's resolved. It seemed like a good decision. Then let's go. Go where? Just come with me. I forcibly dragged Tom out of the office and headed to his parents' house. During the drive, Tom looked anxious, understanding what was about to happen. We're here. After about an hour's drive, we finally arrived. I dragged a reluctant Tom out of the car and to the front door. Hello. His mother greeted us. It's been a while. Why? We have an urgent matter to discuss, I said, heading into the living room. There I found his father reading the newspaper. Hello. It's been a while. What brings you here so suddenly? There's something important you need to know. Okay. I made Tom sit down next to me and explained everything that happened today. You guys did all that? Wait a minute. That's just her fantasy. I played the recording for his father too. So, what about this? Answer me, Tom. This was a conversation with my mother. Mindy and Susie weren't to my liking, so we thought to teach them a lesson. I just did what my mother told me to. I'm a victim too. Tom was desperately pleading with his father. But his father continued without batting an eyelid. Even if that's the case, you had the option to say no. By not doing so, you're equally guilty. And after all, you were the one who directly acted. Faced with this undeniable logic, Tom fell silent. Mom, what have you done? I did it for Tom and this family. Then the father-in-law, with a fury I had never seen before, bellowed. How can that be an excuse? What you two have done could leave a lifelong scar of terrible memories. The mother-in-law, taken aback by his fierce reprimand, couldn't muster a response. Get out. Eh? I said, leave this house. There won't be a second chance. But if you do that... What? If Susie had been there, she would have undoubtedly burst into tears. From the intensity of the moment. Mom, come on! Tom, wait a moment! Tom was trying to hurriedly pull his mother away, wanting to leave the scene as quickly as possible. But I wasn't going to let them off that easily. I'm not done talking. What? I got a call from Susie's teacher. You weren't alone, were you? Someone saw you, right? You know about that too? I didn't do such a thing. Then prove it. If you can. Damn! Looks like we have no choice but divorce, right? Divorce! Tom was clearly not expecting me to say that. He was utterly hopeless. If that's the case, there's no need for me to hold back. Like I said before, you'll have to leave this house. And you're never crossing this threshold again. That's impossible. I'm sorry, but you'll have to accept it. It's all because of her. Don't blame me for everything. It's all your own doing. Eventually, Tom and his mother were disowned and kicked out of the house. She probably never thought it would come to this. They lost everything just because they couldn't stand us. What a pathetic mother and son. I think this should be enough. No, this is more than enough. My only worry is more about your wife than Tom. Leave her to me. She can't do anything now. You just focus on dealing with Tom. Yes. If you need anything, call me anytime. With that, I left my in-laws' house to pick up Susie. Mom! Sorry to keep you waiting. It's okay. Let's go home. I took Susie and first headed to my parents' house. My mother was surprised, but accepted everything after I explained the situation. Then, I went to a lawyer's office to discuss divorcing Tom and his wrongdoings against Susie. I prepared the divorce papers and contacted Tom. The divorce papers will be arriving soon. Please take care of it. You're serious? Of course. I'm also going to ask for alimony. If you don't like it, prove your innocence. And I'm consulting a lawyer about what you did to Susie. Good luck with that. Hey! Wait! I quickly ended the call. I was done dealing with a husband like that. 2 weeks later, the divorce was finalized, and I successfully claimed a substantial amount in alimony. As for his mother, "You've caused us so much trouble." That's entirely your own fault. Maybe you should stop blaming others. Quiet! You and your daughter should go to hell. I'll return those words right back at you. As expected, she tried to contact me. She was speechless at my response. I barely held back my laughter and hung up, blocking her number. Months passed. How are things on your end? Susie and I are doing well. We'll visit you soon. That's good to hear. I look forward to it. From what I heard from my father-in-law, Tom and his mother were living together, still fighting over who was to blame. Such a hopeless pair. Well, they got what they deserved. Now it's just the two of us again. It's okay. As long as I'm with you, Mom. Thank you. It was just Susie and me again, but it was for the best. Staying with a man like that would have been harmful to her upbringing. From now on, Susie and I will support each other and move forward together.